whether or not you think that charging something to provide services, counseling services, workshops, improves or heightens kind of the investment on behalf of the client or the customer in the actual service that you're providing.
I will tell you, I've been in community development with banks since 1985, and I've been in community development since the inception of the Act in 1977. And so I've done literally hundreds, if not more, of workshops. And I believe strongly in the term skin in the game. And whether that's a nominal fee, but I have seen a distinct difference between commitment when people have paid $10 for a program and when they've paid nothing for a program. And so if you use the fee, it's not going to support your program, it's not going to cover your costs of your event. It's merely a psychological ploy, in my view, to say to somebody, I've made a commitment, a financial commitment, I'm going to show up, I'm going to focus, I'm going to participate.
There are a lot of financial literacy workshops where they will charge $10, $25, and if it's a series of 3 workshops, at the end of the workshop, they'll give it back to them. But it's a different commitment. If someone has to pay $10 or $25 and they had to prepay it before attending the workshop, it was more likely that they would go through all 3 workshops, especially if they knew, oh, by the end of the workshop, I'm going to get it back anyway.
I will tell you, I do a program once a year for free, and I limit it to 50 people, and I register 75, and 40 don't show up. Okay, because it's free.
Yeah, I mean, has people heard this? We've heard like, if it's free, it can't be good. It must be that they're not really trained. So free tax prep, no thank you. They must not know what they're doing. So there is some of that as well. They think if it's free, that somehow it's inferior.
The first incarnation in the business plan of our legal services was going to be on a low bono basis. We were going to charge people on a sliding scale, and for a cajillion programmatic reasons, we've never been able to quite implement it, except recently for our bankruptcy services. We, once someone files, we have them start saving for a secured line of credit. So kind of like a charge, but we don't take it. We help them actually secure a line of credit.
You can also use the fee. I know you said they give it back. I've seen organizations put it in a hat in the end of the session and get everyone's business card or put everyone's name in the kitty and give it away as a gift or a contribution to one of the organizations that's there that day.
There's lots of devices we can use. Let's get your question that you started, and then one more in the back, and then we're going to wrap up.
Oh, the 311 services is free, right?
Yeah.
And do you find people are committed to, when they first come to that first session, to come back and actually get their problem solved, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we still grapple with trying to increase retention, keeping people from one session to the next. And I think it is sort of, as May had said, it sort of depends upon the kind of where the person is and what their commitment to their issues are. I think where we found it's most successful is when it's somehow integrated into a program requirement. So maybe not, if you're going to get this benefit, you need to go through 3 counseling sessions. If you're getting your housing subsidized for the time being, you have to go through 8 counseling sessions, and then, you can potentially get access to another incentivized sort of savings opportunity. It's somehow weaving it into program requirements, I think is helpful for getting people, repeatedly coming. Now, whether they are as invested in it or they're just sort of going through the motions, it does seem like the more sessions that you're going to, the more investment you're going to get, and the better the outcomes are. So yeah, in our case, I mean, in our case, because our consumer affairs angle is so focused on trying to deal with all the predatory players out there, we find free is the easiest way to distinguish this sort of city-sanctioned service from all the players out there that are charging. But, you know, I think there's other ways to distinguish it. And I think some of these ideas about like using it as a fee to get people in the door and yeah.
And don't get the wrong impression, because there are plenty of people that want free services and that will come out, especially if they have a problem that they're trying to solve. You know, I think it's different if they have a specific goal or problem they're trying to deal with versus, you know, come to a general workshop and learn about managing your money. You know what I mean? And there's like different motivations there. And on the flip side of, you know, making a requirement of programs, you could end up with people feeling they're in detention. And so you have to grapple with sort of that. And there's some, you know, depending on the philosophy of your organization and how you want people to come to the sessions, there's lots of different considerations that I think people can, you know, talk about.
There's also ways to incentivize it without making it a program requirement, like especially with lenders, you know, like, you know, you get a few points off your interest rate if you go through, you know, 4 or 5 financial counseling sessions, or you know, like you can think about ways that you can kind of motivate people maybe to try to work on it, reward that too.
Yes.
I just
Okay.
wanted to add
sorry.
that, I'm sorry, one thing with the economic turmoil that has happened over the last 18 months, I think that some credit unions that were charging for the workshops, and it was a very nominal fee, are now not charging because of everything that's happening, and they're finding that their numbers maybe they've increased, and maybe not over the long haul, but they've just stopped because they said the last thing I want to do is to be another person saying, give me money to attend this workshop. So I think things have changed slightly because of everything that's happened.
All right, we have time for one more question, and that is yours. Make it good.
I'm just curious as to how many of these services are available to non-English speakers, and what your experiences have been in providing services to people who are not native English speakers, what the different needs are in those communities.
First of all, can the panelists raise your hand if your services are available in other languages besides English? So let's just answer that. Okay, great. And then, yeah. Do you want to take that one?
Oh, so
A little more language.
so the financial empowerment centers are available in English, Spanish, and now Mandarin and Cantonese. Our materials as an agency and as a city, I guess, you know, we try to develop materials, always English and Spanish. We try to get them in the top 5 languages spoken in the city of New York. And so that's, you know, and I think there's a number of providers in our financial education network that that do offer, I think there's, you know, over 20 languages spoken between, you know, the various programs in the financial education network. So there's certainly ways to get people to those languages, and actually the 311 operators, as I mentioned, speak 119 languages and basically are able to do searches by language. So our directory on 311 can be searched by language. So as they're speaking to people, they can figure that out. That said, I think there's still a lot of way to go to keep increasing the, you know, in a city like New York, the sort of language access. So there's a lot more that could be done, particularly, you know, in neighborhoods, you know, where there might be 15 or 20 languages spoken just in a couple block radius. So.
And there's a lot more to be said and not a lot of time to be had tonight. But there's, you know, we didn't touch on so many issues we could have talked about. You're bringing up language access. There's, you know, we're in New York City where 40% of the population is immigrants. We haven't talked about tailoring financial education or services to immigrants who may be undocumented or may not have credit histories and have other unique concerns. We've touched on some domestic violence issues that come up. There's other populations as well to which this information needs to be tailored. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, and I know that one of the things we're going to do is have some time to mingle and talk, and I'm going to turn over to Jen, who will also tell you how you can stay in contact with the presenters and with each other following the session. So thank you. Thanks, Dave.
So I just wanted to thank our panelists and our moderator for taking your time to speak with us tonight. It was fascinating for me personally, and also thanks to everyone else for coming out tonight and participating.